All right, introduction to computers, networks. This is all in the communications part, so there's some things I'll review briefly. First thing we did, we talked about protocols, rules for communication. Then we looked at some examples of that. Then we talked about bandwidth, bits per second. And we talked about broadband. Broadband means you can send different signals across one medium. Okay? And we'll talk about that here in just a second. We talked about the different medias that we can use. We can send across wire, like phone wire, copper wire, used like in cables, cable modem, cable wires, and those things. You can send it wirelessly through the air. We talked about the different ways of sending it through the air. For example, Wi-Fi is one method. There's protocols used for that, and then different protocols for 3G or 4G. And even cellular is different, and then satellite communications, all different ways of sending the information through the air. And then you can use light. We can send it through fiber optic. We talked about the different devices. You have a modem that takes that information that you have from your location, your house, your switches and stuff, converts it so it works on the media that's connected. So it works with the protocol it's connected. So a good example would be your cable modem. It handles both your cable television and it can also send your data. So that's why cable modem is considered broadband. It handles two different groups of signals. We have switches and access points that look at the physical address, decide where something's going to go, and then we have routers. Routers finds the best path to different networks. We'll review that briefly again on Monday. We talked about then like a LAN and the devices on a LAN, smartphones, laptops, tablets, PCs, and then servers. And we distinguish here the difference between devices that typically get addresses using dynamic host control protocol, DHCP, or devices getting addresses like for a server using a static method of assigning the addresses. So we reviewed addresses. We talked about the physical address, the media access control address, the MAC address, which is unique to every single device in the world. Then we talked about logical addresses, Internet Protocol, IP addresses, and then we can get those either dynamically using DHCP, or we can get those statically, ones that are assigned. Okay? Over here is an example that we have on the board. If you notice, we have the MAC address up here on top, D48564-3031823. That is the MAC address that's right here. And that is connected then to port 8. One of these is looking at the device itself, the one device, and then one's in the switch, so when it gets that MAC address, it knows where to send it. We reviewed using these commands, IP config all, ARP -A, and then we pinged addresses. And then we looked at our network and then looked at a number of examples on our network. Okay? So we started out here talking about the internet. We talked about tier 1 providers out on the internet, and then tier 2 providers or tier 3 providers that we connect in with, like Mediacom. You probably have a modem then at your house, whether it's Mediacom or you have some type of modem that connects. Either it connects to the cable, or it connects to the phone, or it might connect to a satellite dish that connects by a satellite. Then in your house you got that, they call it a small router, but it's really an access point. You can connect wirelessly. It's a router, it routes the packets, and it's also a switch. Here at the college we have a router that's connected into the ICN. And we have different bandwidths, 60 million bits per second and 30 million bits per second. And I think those are approximate. That may have changed recently. Then above here, we have public addresses. From the firewall on out, we got public addresses, and internally we have private addresses. Same thing over here. Internally we have private addresses, and then this device here converts it to a public address using network address translation. And when it's changed to a public address, there's a port number with it that keeps track of it as it goes out onto the internet. Okay? And then we did some examples using Wireshark where we could look at the packets and we could see all the information in them. We did an example where we could see the password when accessing some mail and actually read what's in the mail. We also did an example that showed the router and the port numbers, keeping track of signals going in and out. And we'll continue this. We'll meet in PC 229 on Monday. And that's it.